You had one meal off plan, and now you're rethinking everything. Your whole week feels ruined, all your progress feels wasted, and now you're sitting there and you're doing the math in your head. You're trying to figure out how many minutes of cardio it's going to take to burn it off. That one bad meal you had didn't set you back, but what you're about to do next is what's going to. The extra cardio, the meal you're going to skip tomorrow, the I'll start again on Monday, but that's not actually discipline. You're just punishing yourself. But the truth really is, you don't need to earn your food, and you definitely don't need to pay for it the next day. And let me explain the difference here. Celebrating a hard week or a hard couple of training weeks with a treat is completely different from running an extra mile because you had a bit of dessert. But most people can't tell the difference. The reality is, one is a reward because you put a solid week of training in, you hit your sessions, you ate well most of the time, let's say 80 to 90% of it, and so you get to enjoy a meal without thinking twice about it. And in my opinion, that's healthy, that's sustainable, and that's how it's supposed to work. The other is guilt. You ate something bad, and now you're calculating. How many calories was that? How long do I need to run to burn it off? Should I skip breakfast tomorrow? But that's not a nutrition plan. That's a punishment cycle. And it's the fastest way to build a relationship with food that you can't actually sustain. The goal isn't to never eat off of plan. The goal is to eat off plan sometimes and not let it derail you. Enjoyment is part of the system. Guilt is not. I see this all the time with my clients, and it shows up in two ways. I have clients that they'll eat super clean for 2 to 3 weeks, like track everything, don't miss a beat, and then one day they have something bad. And the next day, they're disappointed in themselves. They feel like they blew it. They feel like everything they're working towards is gone now. Like all those clean weeks didn't count. But that's not a nutrition problem. That's a guilt problem. And the guilt is more dangerous than the bad meal or bad snack will ever be. Because the guilt is what makes people spiral. One bad snack doesn't undo 3 weeks of hard work. But convincing yourself it did, that'll undo everything. On the other side of this, I had a client who did 75 hard, followed the rules perfectly, lost a bunch of weight, looked great, felt very proud of themselves. And they should have been. But the problem was when it ended, because the realization was this isn't sustainable, within a few weeks, they were right back to bad habits, right back to where they started. Because their approach was so rigid and it wasn't built for long term. It was all or nothing. The second that structure disappeared, there was nothing underneath of it. No lifestyle change, no sustainable habits, no actual relationship with food that worked in the real world. Just 75 days of restriction followed by a full reset. Both of these are really the same problem, but from different angles. One person feels guilty for eating one thing wrong, and the other one went so hard that they couldn't actually maintain it. Same root, but they both treated food like the enemy. Instead of building healthy habits, accepting reality, and learning how to live around it. And I am not going to sit here and pretend like I eat perfectly all the time. It's just not true. I eat burgers. I have junk food. I enjoy treats when I want them, to a certain point. But I don't feel guilty about it. And it's not because I don't care about my goals. And I know if it gets carried away, it's going to impact me. But I know that the rest of my week is consistent enough that one bad meal isn't going to change anything. Especially because I've built enough runway. When you're training 4+ days a week, eating well most of the time, getting good sleep, and stacking that week over week, a burger on Saturday night isn't going to ruin your progress. It doesn't even need to be classified as a cheat meal. It's just a meal. And actually, calling it a cheat meal is part of the problem, because cheat implies that you're breaking a rule. And if you're breaking a rule, you must be doing something wrong. But you're not. You're just living. And the best plans that you're going to stick to over time are the ones that you can actually live with. And it reminds me of a quote by Lane Norton. And it's literally, the best diet is the one that you can sustain. So simple, but so perfect. Not the strictest diet, not the cleanest diet, not the diet that looks best on paper, but literally the one that is healthiest that you can actually sustain. If your nutrition plan doesn't include room for being an actual human being, it's not a true plan and you're setting yourself up for failure. It's literally just a countdown to see how long it takes for you to break and for you to give up. And it takes me back to my original point. One bad meal didn't ruin your progress, but the guilt spiral after it just might. And here's what actually happens. You eat something off plan, you feel guilty, you skip a meal the next day to make up for it, and now you're hungry. So then you overeat, and now you feel even worse. Then you write off the whole week, and you say, I'll start fresh Monday. And the next Monday turns into next month. One meal didn't do that. The guilt associated with it did. The meal was just a speed bump, but the guilt turned it into a wall. The fix is very simple. When you eat off plan, sit there and enjoy it. The very next meal you have, get right back on your plan. Not the next day, not Monday, the next thing you consume. No extra cardio, no skipping breakfast, no guilt. Just get back on the next meal. And if you can do that, you're putting yourself in a great place for success. You don't owe the gym anything for what you ate last night. The gym doesn't work like a cash register. You don't walk in and pay off your meals. You walk in because you're actually building something. And what you ate last night doesn't change that. If it was really bad, does it change your performance? Maybe. But if your consistency is there, and your training is there, and if your healthy habits are there 80 to 90% of the time, then a burger, a slice of cake, a bag of chips, whatever it may be, is not a setback. It's just a part of life. And the best fitness plans leave room for that, because you're just lying to yourself if you think you're going to be perfect all the time. So stop treating food like the enemy. The real goal is to build a healthy lifestyle that you don't hate, one that you actually enjoy, one where you can enjoy a meal without trying to calculate how many miles or how many burpees you need to do or to work it off, one where a bad day doesn't become a bad week, one where you just trust the process enough to know that one meal isn't going to derail you. Food isn't the enemy. Your relationship with it is. So if you fix the relationship, the results will follow.